Hey, fourth grade. Today's math lesson is lesson 12.8. You can find it in the Go Math book on page 475. Units of time. Essential question, how can you use models to compare units of time? So we will be comparing seconds to minutes, minutes to hours, hours to days, days to weeks, months to years, and weeks to years. So it's not just time like on a clock, but it's time also on a calendar. So if you get to page 475, we'll be ready to go. So looking at the top of the page under Unlock the Problem, the analog clock below has an hour hand, and I've labeled it. It's the shorter black hand, a minute hand, which is the longer black hand, and a second hand, which is the red, to measure time. The time is 4:30 and 12 seconds. So let's answer the question in the purple box first. Are there more minutes or seconds in 1 hour? If you said second, you are correct. There are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. The clocks below show the length of a second, a minute, and an hour. Start time 3 o'clock. 1 second elapses. The time is now 3 o'clock and 1 second. 1 minute or 60 seconds elapses. The second hand, the red one, has made a full turn clockwise. The time is now 3:01. 1 hour or 60 minutes elapses. The minute hand has made a full turn clockwise. The time is now 4 o'clock. So that minute hand went all the way around into 4 o'clock. So then it was 4 o'clock. So let's go ahead and look at example 1. How does the size of an hour compare to the size of a second? So we're thinking about hour compared to a second. So first of all, we have to think about there are how many minutes in an hour? Okay, 60 is correct. There are how many seconds in a minute? 60 is correct. So in order to figure out how many seconds are in an hour, there's 60 minutes an hour and 60 seconds in a minute. We do 60 minutes times the 60 seconds in a minute. 6 times 6, 36. Put your 2 zeros on. So there are 3,600 seconds in an hour. So 1 hour is 3,600 times as long as 1 second. Let's go ahead and turn to page 476. Example 2. Compare measures. Larissa spent 2 hours on her science project. Cliff spent 200 minutes on his science project. So here we go again. We're trying to compare hours to minutes. And the question is, who spent more time? Well, in my mind, I'm saying I don't want to compare hours to minutes. I want to compare minutes to minutes. So I'm going to make a table that relates hours and minutes. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. 2 hours is 2 times 60. 3 hours is 3 times 60. Step 2. We're going to compare 2 hours and 200 minutes. We want to think both of them as minutes. So we're going to write each measure in minutes and then compare using less than, greater than, or equal to. So 200 minutes can stay minutes because it's already minutes. Looking over at the table, 2 hours is 120 minutes. So now we're going to compare minutes to minutes. So 120 minutes is less than 200 minutes. So our question is, who spent more time? Larissa or Cliff? So we know that 2 hours is less than 200 minutes. So Cliff, who spent 200 minutes, more time than Larissa, who spent 120 minutes on the science project. So it's so much easier to compare the same time frame, so minutes to minutes. The next activity is to compare the length of a week to the length of a day. We're just going to shade instead of use colored pencils. So we'll shade lightly and we'll shade a little bit darkly. So the number line below shows the relationship between days and weeks. So first of all, we're going to shade lightly 1 week on the number line. So weeks are above. So nice and lightly, 1 week. And then we're going to use a little bit, instead of a different color, we're just going to use a little bit darker to shade 1 day on the number line. Days are underneath. Number 3, compare the size of 1 week to the size of 1 day. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in 1 week. So 1 week is how many times as long as 1 day? Correct, 7. So let's go ahead and move to 477, Share and Show. There's a really nice units of time box at the top that gives us a nice reminder of what we need to use for this page. So 1 minute equals 60 seconds, and you can see the abbreviations for minute is MIN, seconds is S. 1 hour, HR, equals 60 minutes. 1 day, D, equals 24 hours. 1 week, WK, equals 7 days. 1 year, YR, equals 12 months, MO. 1 year equals 52 weeks. So we will refer back to that information as we work. So number 1, we're going to compare the length of the year to the length of a month and use a model to help. So we're going to shade lightly 1 year. And we're going to shade light, a little bit darker, 1 month. So you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months in a year. So 1 year is 12 times as long as 1 month. So now we want to complete. 2 minutes equals how many seconds? So looking up here, 1 minute is 60 seconds. So if 1 minute equals 60 seconds, 2 minutes would be 2 times 60, which is 120, correct. Number 3, 4 years equals how many months? So again, we want to compare months to months. So let's go up here and look. 1 year equals 12 months. So 4 years would be 4 times 12, which would be, correct, 48 months. So let's take a look at the on your own. So you will complete 4 and 5, comparing 3 minutes equals how many seconds and 4 hours equals how many minutes. And then algebra, compare using a greater than, a less than, or equal. So I suggest to you that instead of comparing years to months, you make it months to months. Instead of comparing days to hours, you make it hours to hours. So convert 2 days to hours, convert 3 years to months. And then problem solving, Damien has lived in the apartment building for 5 years. Ken has lived there for 250 weeks. Who has lived in the building longer? Make a table to help. So instead of comparing years to weeks, we want to compare weeks to weeks. So we're going to figure out how many 5 years, how many weeks are in 5 years. And then for number 9, the hot problem. How many hours are in a week? And explain. So that could be showing your work how you got to that answer. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to work on that, and then I'm going to give you my feedback. Okay, so I'm going to going ahead and get started on this. But if you're still working, you continue to work. And you can come back and check it later. So 3 minutes equals how many seconds? We know that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So 3 times 60 will give you 3 minutes. 180 seconds. 4 hours equals how many minutes? So 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So 4 times 60 would give you 4 hours and minutes. 4 times 6 is 24. Put the 0 on. 240 minutes. Now compare using greater than, less than, or equal to. So I want to figure out how many months 3 years is. So I know 1 year equals 12 months. So 3 years would be 12 times 3, which would be 36 months. So now you can compare months to months. 36 months is greater than 35 months. 2 days and 40 hours. Well, 1 day equals 24 hours. So 2 days would be 2 times 24, which would be 48 hours. Now we can compare hours to hours, and 48 hours is greater than 40 hours. Problem solving. Damien has lived in the apartment building for 5 years. Ken has lived there for 250 weeks. Who has lived in the building longer? Explain. So we're going to use the table. 1 year is 52 weeks. 2 years is 104 weeks. 3 years, 156 weeks. 4 years, 208 weeks. 5 years, 260 weeks. So now we can compare 250 weeks to 260 weeks. So Ken, 250 weeks is less than Damien's 260 weeks. So who has lived in the building longer? Damien. And last but not least, how many hours are in a week? So you have to do this in a couple different parts. So first of all, I need to think about, well, how many days are in a week? Okay. 7 days in 1 week. So 7 days equals 1 week. Then we have to think about, well, how many hours are in 1 day? Hours in a day. So 1 day equals 24 hours. So if we know that there's 7 days in a week and 1 day is 24 hours, we want to know how many hours in a week. We take the 7 times the 24 hours in each day, and you'll get how many hours are in a week. So 24 times 7. Let's see. Sorry. Flipping around. 4 times 7 is 28. 8 for group 2. 2 times 7, 14. 168. So 168 hours in a week. Pretty cool. All right, so your homework assignment will be on page 235, Units of Time. Let's do the even today. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 2, and all the spiral review on page 236. Thanks.